People can buy recreational marijuana in Nevada beginning July 1st. That's when temporary regulations take effect. Medical marijuana establishments have until the end of this month to apply for a license to sell it. Paul Nelson joins us here in the studio after looking further into these regulations. And Paul, here's our question. Why did the Department of Taxation decide to move ahead with legal sales of marijuana, recreational marijuana, like 6 months ahead of schedule?
Well, there's three main reasons, Kristen. The state wants the extra revenue and the marijuana industry wants to expand. And state officials say that by taking care of this early, it improves public health and safety.
6 months after voters approved recreational marijuana, it's more clear where and when people can buy weed in Nevada.
Our biodiesel.
New regulations are closely based on Nevada's medical marijuana laws.
I think for the most part there's been some pushback from people who thought maybe we weren't ready or we didn't have enough time, but Nevada's had the gold standard for medical marijuana laws since we started this back in 2015 with our first sale.
Smoking weed has been legal in Nevada for people over 21 since January 1st, but they haven't had a legal way to buy it. That will change this summer.
We do have a gap in the timeline between legal to use and legal to buy, so the shorter that gap is, the better.
July 1st is also the first day of the budget cycle, and the 15% wholesale tax is expected to generate $30 to $40 million in revenue per year. Legislative approval of a 10% excise tax on recreational pot sales could also generate about $30 million more.
So I think it was a smart move, and it gets us in line to have taxes in the governor's next budget.
The law allows people to grow up to 6 plants of marijuana unless they're within 25 miles of a dispensary. So the temporary regulations will reduce the number of homegrown weed.
This gives law enforcement the tools they need to say, hey, you're not allowed to grow in this residential neighborhood. You have a dispensary down the road.
Experts say the regulations also add an element of safety because of the guidelines in place.
Really, you don't know what you're getting unless you buy it from an industry store that says it's safe, lab tested, and this is how much in it, and this is how it'll affect you. Buying it on the street, it's just magic green bag.
The temporary guidelines will run from July through December. The permanent regulations are in the works and they'll take effect January 1st. Covering the big story live in the studio, Paul Nelson, Channel 2 News.